This episode contains sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Culture Podcast, where we uncover the hidden mechanics of high control groups, their tactics, and their impact. And we speak with the survivors who broke free. My name is Derek, and I'm your host.
My name is Trinity, and I'm also your host. On this podcast, we explore cult life as real people who have lived through the life-changing process of leaving a high control group.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Culture Pod. I'm here, as always, with my co-host Trent. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Hi.
Trent is, of course, in Texas. I'm in Oregon. One of the things we're doing for this episode is a little bit different. We have a guest coming on. The guest's name is Jeron, and he's going to be joining us later. So he's actually not here yet. And so Trent and I decided that we would have a little bit of a check-in here before he joins us. And so we are just kind of having a free-flowing conversation, and we have no script. And we have no idea what we're going to talk about. And then we'll be talking. And amidst the conversation, Jeron will be joining us. And he also may not know right when he joins us we're recording. So this should be fun, I guess. Interesting. A little bit of a switch up for our normal format. I don't know, Trent. Maybe we'll edit some of this out. Who knows?
It can be whatever we want. That's what's beautiful about it.
It can be whatever we want. It could end up becoming one of our best episodes ever. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. We got through the holidays, starting a new year, some new goals, but also nothing crazy.
Yeah. Also got through the holidays. One of the things that I started to see with you, and maybe people recognize this, maybe they don't, but you started putting yourself out there a little bit more on TikTok. So got to see some of your talks and some of the stuff that you're putting out there, which I think is pretty great. How do you think that's going?
TikTok is interesting, man. Part of me really does dislike social media because I just grew up before, in the before times when it wasn't around and it wasn't so necessary. So yeah, it's not my favorite, but we're trying to. I did a series on the bite model on TikTok. I think I spread that over 6 different posts. I'm trying to figure this out, and then I did another one on Darvo. Did some posting about Christmas and the holiday season. And it was interesting, man, putting myself out there. It's good to connect with so many in the community. We just had a podcast with one of the folks I met there, Audrey.
Yeah.
Yep.
I find, Trent and I are obviously still learning this. One of the goals for this podcast is not to become, social media influencers, but, I think kind of some of this comes hand in hand. You obviously want to spread awareness of the podcast. There's a desire for more people to hear these stories. And so it kind of comes hand in hand with having some visibility online. Up until this point, we started with the Instagram account. And so, I run that. Mostly Trent chimes in and does some things like he did a kind of a Christmas, New Year's holiday post. And that's kind of been the start. But yeah, now we're kind of getting into the TikToks and whatnot. I don't like to be as visible. That's just my nature, I guess. But, I'm slowly learning as well. And I imagine eventually I'll be more visible on Instagram. Who knows?
I think it's one of the things that we talk about the small things that are different for us versus other people. But most witnesses don't really have some big social medias, I think it's become more popular now, but I don't know, not every witness was doing social media. In fact, it could be looked down upon if you're doing it too much. So it's one of those things I never really learned. I was just off of it,
Yeah. And I think if I think about social media when I was a witness and fully in, I had social media. I'm old enough to start my social media presence on MySpace.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
So that was fun. And I think I always I was wary. I didn't really want to put a lot out there because I
Yeah,
know it would be looked at.
yeah.
And if I truly kind of spoke myself online, I've had situations where I've been talked to.
Oh yeah, I
I
mean,
put
for
a
sure.
post online and I had a conversation. I had a situation. I just thought of this, so I guess this is something good to chat about. But when I was PMO, physically and mentally out, I did a post on my Instagram, and there was a post about um, like the imagery was of a young child in a clan suit,
Oh my God.
and um, the basic context was like something along the lines of like that child is only mirroring what he's been taught. The child's only wearing a clan suit because his parents put him in the clan suit. Um, and if people aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, it's the KKK. Um, and so whatever imagery that is, if you're somehow have no idea, if you're very young and have no idea what I'm talking about, um, that's what we're talking about. And I felt like it was basically just a quote about make sure we're teaching our children the correct things.
Right.
Obviously, it had some sharp imagery, but in my mind, there was nothing negative about the JWs. It was only a conversation with a very sharp image going, be careful how we train their children. And I got talked to by the elders about it. And I was like, geez, it was just an example of how much control there was. And here's the other wild thing. At the time, an elder talked to my father, and my father talked to me.
Dang. So they didn't even talk to you directly.
No, they went to my elder father. And again, like this is like only a few years ago. I'm 44 right now.
Wow.
So I got talked to by my daddy at 40, whatever, 39 years old, have a house, have a mortgage. I'm a grown ass man. And somehow whoever saw this online couldn't approach me directly and talk with me about like, oh, that's kind of a weird image, my man. Like, what's that all about? Like the witness couldn't even come to me directly, which is something in the Bible that he should have done.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I just thought it was really weird. It was just another example of like how it's so weird to kind of put yourself out there online, which is why most of us again didn't really do that. I don't know if you ever knew that story.
No, I never heard about that.
Look at us getting real on the pod.
Yeah.
New stories coming out. So yeah, social media has been new, but hopefully people are enjoying that aspect of it. On the Instagram, on the TikTok. We don't really do Twitter. We have an X account, but I never use it. I just figured I'd grab it, never use it. We don't do any of these other ones. Don't do Facebook. I think people have enough social media. Like, we
Yeah, I
don't.
think choosing your lane is good. Like choosing
Yeah,
where we're going to be.
yeah. I'd imagine that could change over time. Who knows? But it's like I don't know. I feel like most people are on Instagram and TikTok. That's like there's.
I hear rustlings of other things that the young people are doing other than TikTok, and I can't even remember them right now.
I like how you say what the young people are doing. It just goes to show your age is starting to show what the kids are doing. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see where it takes us. But the end goal we've always talked about is these conversations that we're having. That's what's really important. We've spoken about Reddit in the past. We don't have a presence on Reddit, but we've obviously been on Reddit, and there's a great, XJW community, ex Mormon community, ex cult community, just in general, high control groups. One thing, just as my mind kind of goes to different topics while we chat, waiting for Jeron to join us. Um, I don't know. There's a big takeaway that, like, when I started this and we started this, I didn't really realize how many people were just in the, I guess, quote unquote, standard Christian community that felt like they're coming out of a high control group. I wasn't as aware as I'm becoming more now.
Yeah, it's like pretty common.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that we're kind of chatting with behind the scenes online. And we've already at this point have had a couple people on the podcast that have been guests, notably like Devin and also Sean. Or no, is it no Ryan? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and they came out of a traditional like Baptist and Catholic type of community, and one is very much high control, and the other is like, no, it's a cult. It was a Catholic cult. And so there's an eye-opening awareness that I got just through these conversations, which I find to be pretty eye-opening. I don't know, how do you feel about some of that?
I mean, what's, I guess, similarly, what I noticed is how many people have been deeply affected by high control groups.
Yeah.
Like, I guess same thing, different notice, but
Mm-hmm.
like, I just can't believe it. And you're right, there's people from different religions too. Like, we're not, just because we came from Jehovah's Witnesses doesn't mean that's all we ever want to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that most of our listeners would be ex-JWs, but I think there is a fascination and an intent to not just be in that lane. Although most of our conversations will probably be from ex-JWs. Like Jeron coming up is an ex-JW, and there's so much crossover. It's just like
Yeah.
there's so many groups out there. I look forward to chatting with whoever wants to come on. So if you're listening and you're in an XJW, great. If I'd love to have you on. If you're in another one of these groups, would love to have you on. I think finding more and more perspectives that cross and go, these are the similar tactics that these people use. um, I want to hear it. I want to grow my own knowledge and make awareness for others as well.
I feel like I had so much in common with everyone that we've interviewed who's not a JW.
Hmm.
Like, we've had some discussions with ex-Catholics, ex-Baptists, ex-Mormons, and there's so much common ground in the experience that we have.
Yeah, at this time, I was going back through the list. The time this comes out, we spoke with Lydia, who's connected to Ben, who's connected to uh, the Griswolds. Um, we chatted with Catherine Spearing, the author.
Yep.
So she grew up, kind of a traditional ministry, a traditional Christian ministry, and wrote a book about it, which we both enjoyed. Um, Chatted with Corrine Harden, which really enjoyed that conversation, another author, XJW. You didn't chat with Jordan, but Jordan Smalls was on, and I think you'll really enjoy that conversation. It'll already be out by the time this comes out. And yeah, Ryan, it's just like there's a lot of people, um, and we're really far ahead too. So there's always like, we record and then we release every couple weeks. And
I
so
think we
it's,
have 23 or 24 out right now, but how many do you think we've recorded? Probably 40?
I think 33. So
33,
there's a
okay.
gap. So sometimes it's like, the around Christmas, an episode came out and we recorded just before Halloween. And so there's a little bit of delay sometimes. These are never intended to be, episodes. These are more like evergreen conversations, but sometimes things just don't align correctly. It just comes with the territory where, we might be talking about Christmas, and then, I think Corrine's conversation, we were talking about our Christmas tree, and it's probably not going to come out, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is what it is. But the point, in my mind, is not the timing of the conversation. It's the depth of the conversation, and really the experience growing up in whatever group they grew up in.
Yep.
But yeah. And then, of course, we're trying to get Gork back on. Maybe by the time this comes out, we will have already recorded another conversation with Gork. He was our first guest, my cousin. Always like checking back in with Dustin. Haven't spoken with Dustin in a little bit, so love to have him on. enjoyed the conversation with Abby.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people that I don't know. I'm so grateful for. Come on here. Leo, her conversation at the time of the recording just came out last weekend. I had a one-on-one conversation with her, and that was about 2.5 hours. So that was a nice long one, but she really, really dove into a lot of stuff there. So yeah, a lot of similar themes. Yeah, what is there to say, Trent? Have you had any contact with any family? Have you had any kind of your own things lately?
Yeah, actually. So my grandpa in West Virginia is not doing so well. So my mom and sister are both taking care of him right now. And they're going to come by Texas for the first time in years. Like I haven't seen my sister in a year or 2 years or something like that because she's
Mm.
still a JW. And we have a good respect and boundary with each other about, how we maintain those relationships now.
And she knows you do the pod.
I don't know, to be honest with you.
There's these weird gray areas.
It's yeah, like it's weird because I don't want to just be super up in her face about it,
Yeah.
because I know she won't like it, even though I think it's like we hear so many stories. It would just she's hardwired, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna see my mom and sister for the first time in a hot minute.
How are you feeling about that?
It'll be interesting. It's complex though because, and it always has been because of the JW religion
Is
and all the things that surround it.
your mom knows your mom also doesn't know about the pod?
I think I mentioned something early on to all of them and then just haven't updated them. So yeah, I don't think they know.
Yeah, I obviously I've had some family on that thankfully aren't um in the JW religion. So, my sister Jennifer was an episode, my sister Jessica was an episode. So obviously they know. And then my dad doesn't know. My mom passed away, so that's for listeners that don't know why I don't talk about my mom. She passed away when I was really young from cancer. Needless to say, she doesn't know about the podcast. Well, maybe she does. Maybe she's been watching over me. Who knows?
Maybe.
And my dad doesn't know. I imagine it's only a matter of time with my father finding out. Yeah.
I kind
So
of get
that's
that sense too. Like maybe he'll come across it from an outraged family member or something.
yeah, yeah. It's only a matter of
Or
time.
oh goodness, who knows?
I did get a message from Jeron, our guest. He'll be on in about 5 minutes,
Cool.
so he'll be coming in hot. I'm just going to let him know that we're recording. And for listeners that have been listening for a while, you'll recognize that Trent and I have never done a recording like this before. But we just decided to just get on because we haven't checked in a while. When we first started, we did some interstitial episodes where we just chatted like this, and it's been a decent run.
It's been a hot minute because we have had feels like interview after interview, man.
Yeah, we've had quite a lot. We've been really blessed with people that want to come on. People reach out, and so there hasn't really been a lot of downtime. In addition, I don't know if listeners know, but I've also started college. So that's also made it kind of tough to have some availability. But I'm really excited going to college. As a former Jehovah's Witness, we weren't allowed to do that. So it's exciting for me to try and get out there. So I'm going to community college right now with a goal eventually to get a degree in philosophy. And then eventually after that, a degree in counseling. So I'm really excited to go down that path and we'll see where it goes. But
I'm
yeah,
really
there's
excited for you, man.
thanks, man. There's a lot on my plate when it comes to that. It's being older, 44, and starting this up. There's a little bit of it's a little daunting, but it's like you got to go for it, man. We were robbed that when we were children, and it's like I want to take back that agency and give it a shot.
Absolutely.
And I also want to help people. So as we help people with this pod, I want to try to see if I can go even farther. So we'll see. Um, yeah, it's exciting times, but also it just comes with some extra stuff. I'm doing math right now, and that is, I haven't used my math brain in quite a long time, so I'm looking at my math homework right now, and I'm not liking it.
It's good for you, man.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Let's see. And my brother Brent. He's in another state. I haven't spoken with him in years. So he may know about the podcast, but unlikely. I have another brother, Micah. I would love to have him come on. He's my stepbrother, and I think he listens occasionally. Jessica's brother, who's been on. Um, I'd love to have him on and check in. I haven't spoken to him in years. Even if he doesn't come on the pod, I'd love to speak with him and catch up. I have a real sister. I'm not sure where she's at. Our family's very disconnected. I'm the last of 8 children. My dad had 4 kids, and my stepmom had 4 kids. And I've said this on pod before. Like, it's not a good ratio of success for children becoming Jehovah's Witnesses. None of them are witnesses.
Do you think that without the religion, you guys might not be so disconnected, or do you how do you think that's impacting it?
That's a great question. I think that the religion definitely played a role of disconnecting, because most of my stepmother's children, basically all of them, wanted nothing to do with the religion from the time they were very young. And basically only my brother Brent and I wanted anything to do with it. So that kind of disconnected a lot of us from how we kind of saw our foundation of ourselves. We weren't very aligned. But we've talked with so many guests and friends of the podcast, and it's like we've seen that it's like, yeah, the religion plays a part of it, but it's also just like, dude, they just weren't good parents. They weren't good people. They didn't have a really good foundation, and so that was just a big problem as well. But I do see our guest joining. So yeah, as I was saying, we were just recording. I don't know if you listened to any of the podcasts, Jeron, but normally Trent and I check in every now and then. Usually we have guests on and we chat with them, but every
Nice.
once in a while it's just Trent and I that are kind of just chatting back and forth. And so we were doing that before you got here, and just kind of checking in with everyone. And I know that's one of your specialties. I've seen some of your stuff on YouTube. You just get a thought and you hit record.
You're talking about me, right? Me?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I just get these ideas and I just go straight to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like it. Like, you're just basically like, I have something I have to get off my chest. Let's hit record. Let's get to it.
That's it. Yep. Those are the best.
Yeah, and I follow you on Instagram. I like following you. I don't know if you're on TikTok. I assume you might be as well.
No,
Are you
I'm not on
Okay.
TikTok. No.
Yeah, we were just talking about, we started this podcast. We have the Instagram. We just started the TikTok. It's something we're learning. We're figuring out.
Nice.
It is what it is. But yeah, mostly just Instagram, and then all your podcast feeds, YouTube, all that stuff. But we're really glad you came on. This podcast is very conversational. I should probably, that's my co-host Trent. Hey, Trent.
What's up, man?
I've seen you guys before. Yeah, I know you guys. I know you. But
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
fine to
cool.
meet you guys in person. Yeah. Well, not in person.
Yeah.
But
Close
We're
enough.
video chatting.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the things I saw, in addition to kind of the way you put yourself out there, Jeron, was, you kind of have a little community as well. I was really impressed when you kind of, I saw you kind of put together a whole community event in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Every year, I'm actually hosting XJW meetups every year.
I think that's really great. How did that all come about?
It's funny. So it started last year. So you say you follow me on Instagram. So I'm a traveler. I love to travel, right?
Yeah.
And I always had the thing to travel internationally. But now that I woke up from the cult, I said, hold on, I want to travel and hang out with my people. Because us ex-witnesses, we speak a language that other people they're not fond of. Like other ex-members, we get each other. Like nobody else will. Because we've been through some
100%.
stuff, right? So I said, while I'm traveling, I might as well meet my people on my travels, on my adventures. So I
Yeah.
started planning events, and this Vegas one a few months back in September, it was really good. It was a really good
Nice.
meetup.
How many
Yeah,
people?
look great.
How many people? You said
Yeah.
about 20. Yeah, about 20 people showed up
Oh, that's
from all
awesome,
over,
man.
the America. Yeah,
Well, Vegas is also a reason to go, right? That's a pretty good spot.
that's true. Yeah,
And for you, if I know correctly, you're actually live in Hawaii.
I'm in Hawaii. I'm in paradise. Yep,
Yeah. So
I'm in Hawaii.
you didn't have to get past Armageddon in order to get to paradise.
Nope, and they have to wait
Yeah.
100 years.
You did,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I always, whenever I went on vacation, I always had that in the back of my mind. Like, I don't know, if you went to an island or something, it's like, dude, I'm in paradise now. It was always this thing in the back of my mind, and it's like, I don't know, man. Paradise is what you make it.
You said it, bro. You said it.
So
It's
you like
what
to
you make it.
travel? Where have you been in the past? As you've been out?
Well, I was traveling before I left the organization, but wait, sorry, you said before, when I got out, when I
Yeah, have you done a bunch of traveling since you've been out of the JW faith?
yeah, but I've been traveling all my life, so that's not new to
Yeah,
me. It's not new.
yeah.
But you just asked them
Well,
I've been in general, or
well, what I was going to do is a two-parter because I have a mindset of travel's different when you're awake, when you're free. So
oh,
there's a
okay.
difference between places you were at when you were a Jehovah's Witness versus where you've traveled since.
Oh, you see, so you know what? I see where you're coming from, but for me, I feel like I've always been a traveler. Like I know some
Yeah,
people when they wake up, they're like, "Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that." I've always had that
yeah,
mindset, even when I was a witness. You know.
yeah, yeah.
But
I've had the travel bug as well. Just got back from Thailand,
nice.
and that was just a great experience. Went with my girlfriend. Um, yeah, I've had a chance to go to Tokyo,
Oh, me too.
and
Been to Tokyo.
was with my cousin. We went to Panama. There's
Ooh,
just there's just been some really great trips. But in my mind, it was like when I was in, I didn't have the same mindset about travel. So now I'm excited. I've been out for a few years now,
nice.
and it's like it's a whole new experience when I travel. It's just been great.
Good. I love to hear that.
What were you gonna say, Trent?
I forget.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get into it. I know we have a kind of a limited amount of time, so a lot of times when we have these conversations, we just kind of talk about your upbringing, kind of how this all started, and then just kind of that journey to where you're at now. So, I really want to start where you want to start. What were some kind of big moments when you were young that you recall that were pretty transformative, growing up in the Jehovah's Witness faith?
Good question. So, born and raised a witness. I always say, unfortunately, because it's an unfortunate event when you're born and raised, and 'cause you don't know better. Born and raised, I was a true believer because, like I said, that's all I knew growing up. There's nothing else. I wasn't taught any other religion, as you know. We was only taught the Jehovah's Witness or Jehovah's Witness theology. So I truly believed in the witnesses, but I've never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I fitted in, it was a weird feeling growing up. So I became inactive. Baptized at 13, became inactive for the first time at 17, 18. Then I came back for a sister. I would recommend no one to ever do that. I came back for a sister for
Yep.
a few years. When that didn't work out, I left again. Right. And then the second time around, when I tried to come back while being inactive, that's when everything turned around. But my life changed drastically. Right. Because you know how you guys know how they always encourage inactive ones to return to Jehovah. We're in the last of the
Yeah.
days. Come back before the end is near. Right.
Oh yeah.
For 2 consecutive years, I was doing that. Changed my entire life around. Went from living a so-called wild life to living like a legit witness for 2 years, right? And in those 2 years, the elders were trying to find my publisher card because it was lost, right? But they kept encouraging me, Jeron, go to your meetings, keep doing what you're doing. If worse come to worse, somebody will make a new card for you, whatever, right? So I patiently waited 2 years while elders from all over was looking for my card because I was going from back in the day while I was a witness, I was a traveler. I was a witness back in New Zealand and Australia I lived there for a year, right? This is right before I became inactive. So that's why my card was, and my publisher card was lost because I became inactive after that, right? After I was doing my travels. So 2 years, like I said, me going to the meetings, doing everything that I should be doing as an inactive person, trying to come back to Jehovah's Witness organization. I did my part, right? And I'm getting discouraged. So I'm living in Boston at the time, and I told my mom in New York, I said, Mom, the elders, you, everybody's telling me come back to Jehovah. I did that for 2 years, and now I'm stuck in this limbo situation where I can't comment at the meetings, and this is during Zoom now because COVID is in the mix, right? So I'm getting really discouraged. So my mom goes, you know what, Jeron, I'm going to contact the elder, the Kobe elder in this congregation because I'm from New York. I'm from that congregation, even though it got moved around, it evolved, it merged quite a few times, right? My mom said, this is your hometown congregation. I'm gonna contact the elder and let him know that you're getting discouraged. I'm gonna see if they could, do something about your publisher card. I said, good, great, So she runs to this the Kobe elder in her congregation. Keep in mind, the congregation merged. I don't know this brother from a hole in the wall. He don't know me. I don't know him, right? But I'm a true believer at this time. I'm thinking this is Jehovah's organization. I'm thinking the elders are going to help me to come back to the fold. They're going to study with me. So, so my mom, she talks to this elder. He contacts me and he says, "Listen, I know you've been inactive for quite a while. I heard you going to the meetings. You heard you've been going to the meetings for the last 2 years." He said, "However, we still have to have a judicial because you was inactive for quite a while." So I don't think nothing of it. I don't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
That's it. The last 2 years I'm living like a witness. They're not going to care about what I did in the past. I think nothing of it.
Sure.
So we have the judicial on Zoom. Keep in mind, these brothers are in New York. I'm in Boston, right? This is during COVID. So right after the opening prayer, and this is when I knew that something was a little off. Right after the opening prayer, instead of saying, "Oh, Jeron, we heard you was inactive. You came to Jehovah. You returned back to the organization." Instead of hearing that, I hear, "Oh, so tell us everything you done while you was inactive out in the world." In other words, the brother was saying, give us a reason to disfellowship you because we're not here to help you. We're here to just see what you've been up to so we can, counter you.
That is really interesting because the whole point of a congregation disfellowshipping is to protect the flock. And if you weren't a part of the flock when you were doing things, there shouldn't be any reason you're protecting the flock. Because as you say, you've been with the congregation these past 2 years and been doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's like, I've also been inactive in the past, and I had the opposite. They didn't talk to me or question me about anything.
You see?
They're like, we're so thankful that you're back. And, that's weird. So you had a whole different vibe.
I had a completely different experience. Yeah. And then, so I believe in being upfront, honest, and blunt. You can never go wrong when you're honest with somebody, even if it's not what they want to hear. At least if you're telling somebody the truth, you win. You're winning, right?
Yeah.
So I was 100% honest with these brothers. I told them, yeah, brothers, I was sleeping around in the past. I did this, and this. I said, brothers, but that was years ago. I said the last 2 years it changed my life. I'm on the right path. I'm going on my meetings. They didn't want to hear. They didn't care about none of that. They said, yeah, you're going to the meetings, but you need to be punished for the things you did in the past. You was sleeping around. You was fornicated. You need to be punished. I said, brothers, why? If I'm not doing that anymore, that should tell you that I'm repentant. I could still be living a lifestyle, but I choose not to. So but why don't you think I'm repentant? Because they actually had the audacity to say that we don't think you repented. I didn't comprehend that part, but they just wanted an excuse they wanted to justify a reason to fellowship me.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I said to myself, I said, wow, why did I return? Well, I said, let me get this straight. When I was out there sinning, sleeping around, whatever, I still was speaking to my family. My family respected the fact that I was inactive. We had a healthy relationship when I was supposedly, standing and living a worldly lifestyle. But you mean to tell me when I cleaned up my act, I changed around for the better. I changed my life for the better. Now I can't speak to my family when I'm doing what I should be doing?
Yeah.
How does that make sense? And I said to the elders, and I was the fellowship for 2 years because actually during that meeting, I stood up to the elders, and they're not used to that. They're not used to people talking back to them. But if you're in the wrong, if you abuse your power, I'm gonna call you out.
So at this time, you got disfellowship, but you still believe. So you were disfellowship for 2 years, and you came back.
Oh yeah, I came back. So you don't know my story.
I know bits and pieces, but I want to make sure everything's real clear. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah. No
especially,
problem.
obviously, the listeners. They're not going to know your story at all.
Yeah. No problem. Okay. So when those elders made the decision to fellowship me, right, and I knew in my heart I was repentant. I don't care about what these elders can't read my heart, right? So, but when they made the decision, when it was finalized, and it really dawned on me that, oh shit, these elders, that was a setup. When my mom went to that elder and he said, "Oh, yeah, I hope your son get a new car," he really meant he'll help me get the fellowship. He'll just fellowship me. He wasn't trying to help me. There was no loving talk. We didn't take me to the side. Oh, Jeron, we're here to help you. There was none of that. It was just, oh, what you did, so we could counsel you, so we could shun you. Oh,
Which is
okay.
like the opposite of how they should be.
Exactly. But that woke me up.
100%. Yeah.
That was, see, that helped, that hate that they showed me, because they said, oh, this is a loving arrangement. Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to hear that. Don't BS me. Everybody knows being the fellowship is not loving at all. I don't want to hear that nonsense. All right.
Yeah.
So they was trying to hit me with, oh, well, just see this loving counsel from Jehovah. Shut up. You can't, that's not going to work on me.
When you were, just to backtrack a little bit, when you were inactive, were there feelings of shame by not being active? Was that like a draw? Is that what brought you back?
Oh, no, that's not what brought me back. So the reason why I came back the second time is because I had a near-death experience. And it made me really contemplate. It put things in perspective. Let me put it like that. And I felt like at that time I needed to return to Jehovah. At that time,
Do you mind talking about the near-death experience, or do you want to?
Oh my God, it's a little embarrassing, to be honest. But no, I mean, I can laugh about it now. So it's
Yeah.
So I was in LA on vacation, right? But this is a few years before that, before my encounter with the elders, right? So I was in LA on vacation, and it's my first time dibbling with playing with edibles, right? Or trying
Okay.
edibles. And me being the impulsive person that I can be at times, I took one too many edibles. Let me put it like that. And
How many milligrams for your first time?
altogether, it had to be well over 100. I don't know exactly, but it was definitely over 100. And that was my first time.
Yeah. Oof.
I'm a pro now. I'm better now. But my first time, your first time doing that, it's like, whoa. So long story short, my heart has heart palpitations. I have to call the ER. I really thought I was gonna have a heart attack. It was that bad. It was that bad,
What were you? Where was your mind? Like, what were you thinking about through that trip?
I was praying to Jehovah. Remember, I was inactive at the time. I was praying to Jehovah. My heart, I was having heart problems, and my heart was beating fast. I said, "Oh shit, I'm about to die." I said, "This is how I go." I said, "This is how I go." So I was praying to Jehovah. I said, "Jehovah, if you allow me to live another day, if you help me, Jehovah, I'm coming back to the organization." I was like praying, and when I was in the ER, I was like, "Wow." I mean, the doctors were saying, "Oh, well, this happens a lot. People take all these they take too many organs." But it's like, I didn't know. You don't. I'm not a psychic. No one could say for certain that, "Oh, I'm going to survive this situation. My heart is beating really fast." You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. But after that happened,
well, also just to quickly interject too, that's an example of how being raised in a high control group or a cult unprepares you for certain things in life.
That's true.
Like if you were more quote unquote worldly, and I say that in the non-witness version, you probably would have had friends and family you grew up around have been like, hey, that much is probably a bad idea. But because we're not given a lot of training for real life growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. That shit's not in the young people ass book.
That's true.
So okay, so you have this experience, and then where were you going from there? What were you saying before I interrupted you?
Yeah, so after that experience, right? That's when I started to take the organization seriously. That's when I was going on my meetings. Like I changed my entire life after that. It's funny.
That can make you a believer again.
Oh yeah, when you feel like you're about to die, hell yeah, So after that, and it's crazy. Now looking back, everything happened for a reason because it brought me here.
Yeah.
I woke up. Everything I'm telling you, it was happening in doses, right? In phases, and it brought me to where I'm at right now.
Well, and that's true. I mean, we talk about it a lot. Like most people are never gonna wake up all at once. like our brains protect us, and
Yep.
it's like, you know, we hear something, oh, that's apostate material, or oh, we see this, oh, that's dangerous, you know. So you do have to kind of get it in these little chunks,
Mm.
these little pieces, and then eventually your brain goes, wait a minute, I have this new puzzle I got to figure out, and I got to put this together, and then you put it together and go, oh shit, I was in a cult.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how long have you been out?
Right now, phew, we're approaching 2021, about 4 years now.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, 4 years. But hold up. So I've been awake. Sorry, I've been awake for the minute I got the fellowship. A month later, I started to do my research. Right.
Mm.
So I was the fellowship for 2 years, like I said. But you know what? I said I'm gonna do something a little different in this situation. I said when I woke up when I was the fellowship, I said I'm going to do something that no ex-witness has ever done before. Because these elders wanted to make an example out of me, right? I said, no, I'm gonna flip the script. I'm gonna make an example out of them. So when they reinstated me, keep in mind, I woke up a month after I was the fellowship. And I was the fellowship for 2 years. So imagine how much information I knew about this organization by the time I got
Mm.
reinstated, right? So I said, I'm gonna allow them to reinstate me. And then the minute they reinstate me, I'm gonna go out to the whole world, well, the whole Jehovah's Witness organization. I'm gonna say, hey, these elders have no Holy Spirit. Because when they forced the fellowship me, they said they prayed about it. They said they prayed about it, and this answer is from Jehovah. When I know that was a bullshit, right? So I said, okay.
You were like a double agent.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. So I said, okay, they want to play games? No problem. So I'm allow them to pray about it when they reinstate me. And then I'm gonna say, oh, you guys prayed about it, right? But I was an apostate pretending I was just testing out the Holy Spirit. So if I'm testing out the Holy Spirit, how did you guys reinstate me if you guys supposedly have Holy Spirit on your side? Answer that one, buddy.
Yeah.
What do they say?
I don't know what they said after that. So I blocked them out there. I sent them,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. And then I put that on
Man,
YouTube.
if
Yeah.
you you put it on YouTube? Okay.
Hell yeah, put it on YouTube.
Man, I
Facebook,
would have
YouTube,
loved
everywhere.
to you know, I went through this period once where I was watching a lot of these like hidden camera
Oh,
judicial
I
meetings.
wish I did that. Damn, I should have did that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that
Damn,
would have
yeah.
been some good content right there. That because that's the inside stuff a lot of people don't realize. If you weren't raised as a Jehovah's Witness, maybe you're just listening or watching, you have a curiosity. It's like, you know, they have these whole judicial meetings where they take us in this back room, and
2 or 3 elders.
two or three elders, we're already guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like you when you're in, you think you have a chance to state your case or do whatever, and it's like nowhere in the Shepherd of the Flock manual that the elders have gives you any leeway to have a conversation to change their mind about anything.
Yeah.
So these backroom conversations are fascinating for me to hear and see. But okay, here's what you got to do: you got to go back into the JW faith, and then get reinstated, and
You said
then make
that.
the video.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you've been out. So yeah, Trent and I have both been out around the same amount of time. I've been out about 5 years or so.
Yeah,
Okay.
since about 8 for me, or 6.
Nice.
What are your thoughts on what COVID did to the organization and people coming out?
Oh. So I came back around that time in 2019 officially. I came back right before COVID actually. But I'm hearing a lot of stories. People woke up during COVID. Because people had, speaking of which, my grandfather, I don't know if you know, my grandfather, he woke up during COVID actually.
Mm.
He was in it for 50 years.
Whoa.
He was in it for 50 years. Yeah. Yep.
Good for him.
How's he doing?
He's hanging in there. He's doing, I mean, you know what? For somebody who know that they wasted 50 years, he's doing better than most people. I'll tell you that. He's doing
See,
better than
I
most people.
actually I came to the decision with my father, who's I don't know, he's probably 75 now, maybe a little bit older, and I purposely didn't want to wake him up. So when I left, I was as vague as possible, because the last thing I'd want is a 75-year-old person to wake up and then like go like fuck, my whole life it was a waste. I'd rather, I don't know, me personally, I'd rather have him just go out this way. But that's just me.
No,
Yeah.
It's a sad life. I'm sorry.
So that was a crazy plan. So you've been free for a number of years now, And when did you decide to start kind of putting yourself out there online and kind of saying your thoughts about being an XJW and kind of being a part of this community? Was it immediately?
Nah, it wasn't immediately, not at all. But once I made that decision to expose those elders, I knew that was a one-way trip. I already knew what was gonna happen. My family's gonna shun me. Everybody was gonna shun me. But I'm the type of person, I gotta stand up for what's right, even if I'm by myself or I'm gonna lose people. I'm not gonna be fake, and I wasn't gonna allow those elders to get away with thinking that they're gonna just falsely abuse their powers and get away with it.
Yeah.
I say nothing. Nah, sorry, I ain't doing that. So once I exposed those elders, that's when I started making videos. And that's why I said to myself, I don't want anyone to make the mistake that my mom did. My mom, she joined this religion in her 20s when she was down and out, and it affected my life. It affected my brother's life. It affected her life. I don't want nobody to make that same mistake and just dive into this religion without doing their research. So when
Yeah.
I make my videos, I'm praying and hoping that before somebody just blindly believe the organization. Hope and pray that they do their research all around. Because when they do your research and you know about the shunning policy, you know about the no blood policy, when you know about the CHA cases, that should be enough information to keep people far away from this organization. You know?
Yeah. I remember having a Bible study years ago, and uh, I remember having the study, and it was with a woman, a female. So my partner at the time sat in with me on it, and it was going really well. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't. And I
Mm.
reflect on it years later. I'm like, she probably looked a bunch of shit up. She
Mhm.
probably started and was like, "Oh, this sounds pretty great," and then she just like ghosted us. And I think
Damn.
back now, it's like she probably started looking online and seeing all the stuff about the witnesses, which obviously we didn't even do. When you're in,
Yeah, yeah.
You don't see any.
you're not looking up anything.
You
Yeah.
don't even think to look. Yeah, you don't even.
So
Crazy.
you've talked a little bit about loss. I mean, that's kind of a thread we all kind of talk about and have. So who in your life have you lost at this point? What were some of the unfortunate things that you had to go through by taking this stand?
Um, Lost my mom, my brothers, my entire Jehovah's Witness community. The only upper hand that I had, the only upper hand that I have than other people who leave the organization is that I was inactive for quite a while. In fact, half my life I was inactive. I guess you could say half my life. So I already had an abundance of friends out in the world, you know.
Yeah.
But it still hurts when the last thing my mom said to me a few years ago was, "Don't contact me ever again. Don't talk to me ever again. You're an apostate." So I told her, I can't. I'm the type of person I cannot keep my mouth shut. If something is not the truth, if I know that my family and friends are living a lie, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut just because they're comfortable. I hate to bust your bubble, but you're in a cult and you're going to die without seeing paradise. I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. You want me to lie?
Yeah.
Beat around the bush? I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. So my mom, she was like, "No, you sound like an apostate." I'm like, "Mom, you didn't do your research. You just blindly believe in a group of men.
Yeah.
So if you're going to shun me and never talk to me because I'm telling you something that you don't want to hear, but deep down inside, you know I'm telling you the truth, then so be it. So be it." You know?
Yeah, it sucks because like even and Trent and I have talked about this, like even the actual definition apostate isn't isn't the real definition.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Jehovah's Witness version.
It's just somebody that
Um,
deviates from their organization, from their faith. That's all. You know?
I've said it before on podcasts. Jesus was an apostate.
Mm.
Yeah. Of Judaism at the time.
He went against the system.
Yep.
We're supposed to be like Jesus. We're apostates.
You're right. You're
Trent
right.
doesn't like that word, but and
Mm.
I actually the interesting thing about me is I feel like the way that we talk when we talk on the Culture Pod, we don't really talk about doctrine. We don't talk about, a lot of the stuff like that. We talk about the people.
Good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could go on any YouTube channel and look up Joe's Witness, and there's room for that. Obviously, I think people need to talk about all that stuff. But in my mind, when we were thinking about doing this podcast, it's like there's not enough conversations about the people and the trauma and the things that people
Oh,
went through
wow.
growing up in this
Whew.
thing.
The trauma. You said it. You said it.
So, that's usually the common theme that we have. We have a lot of of real shit that we've all been through because, well, two things. And even before you joined, Trent and I were talking about it. There's a common thread of, yeah, there's stuff the religion did to us, but there's also stuff, just the people we were raised around, narcissists,
Yep.
abusive, controlling.
Yep.
And they kind of use the God structure. They kind of use the religion to help with who they are.
Yep.
Now, when you left, and then you basically were on your own, what was the journey to get to a point where you felt like you're a little more, I don't know, for lack of a better term, healthy? Like where are you at with that? Like on your journey to really reconstructing your life and being, because I see some of the stuff you put online and you seem to be in a good mental space.
For the most part, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you didn't start that way. You know, I don't even know you well, but I know if you started as a JW, you weren't equipped.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was that journey?
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, I'm still on that journey. It's funny you're talking about this. I will say this: since I left, for the most part, I've been all right. Well, I've been good for the most part, but I have my moments. Like Christmas actually did a number on me. You know, I got really, really. It came out of nowhere. This depression came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it came from a source, you know, because Christmas, everybody's with their families. That's the time you're supposed to be with your family, right? During the holiday season, and it's like it really dawned on me. Like I was like, damn, I lost my family over an organization that's not even real. I lost my family over something that's not even worth losing your family over, but just because I have a different belief system than them. It's so stupid when I think about it, you know?
Well, the way I equate it to is just, it's like if your mom believed like Thor was real. You know what I mean? Like the Greek gods are real. And if you had that same conversation with someone, they're like, well, of course the Greek gods aren't real, or the Norse gods. And it's like, but that's the same parallel, you know?
Yep.
It's like we lost our family because of a fairy tale.
Yep. You know what I use? You know the analogy I use? Santa Claus. Imagine someone saying, "Oh, I don't believe in Santa Claus. I don't believe in Christmas. You don't believe in Santa? I can't talk to you. You don't believe in Santa. You know how dumb you sound? You don't believe Santa Claus came? Then how did we get these gifts, Jeron? These gifts come here." It's the same with the Jehovah's Witness organization. You say that to a witness. How do you know that the governing body leaders truly are God's chosen vessel? Just look around. Look at the loving organization. That doesn't equate to, that doesn't mean that it's the truth. That's the truth. That's the one and true religion on earth.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm thankful that you said the reality is for every person that's out. Trent and I often talk about there's the good and the bad.
Yep.
You know, there's the amazing freedom, and with that freedom comes learning through mistakes, problems, boundaries. And one of the things you mentioned was there are moments of depression.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And it's real.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do to kind of help with that? What's your, I don't know, what's your stance or what's your way to combat that and not let that overtake you?
Well, you asked some good questions. For starters, I go to the gym. The gym definitely helps with my depression. That's something physical, but the gym doesn't fix everything. It doesn't fix things up here. And honestly, I'm learning to just focus on the positive, which is not always easy, right? I say to myself, what's the positive here, right? Yeah, I lost my family. I lost my Jehovah's Witness former friends. That's sad. That in itself is sad. However, the positive is that I have my freedom. The positive, I get to be my true authentic self. I'm not living a lie. I'm not gonna die believing in a lie like my family, like my brothers, my mom.
Yeah.
I get to die. I get to have real friends. And when I leave this earth, I'm grateful that I woke up from this organization. Let me put it like that. So I think about all the people who's not gonna wake up. Think about all the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? All their friends and family, their entire life, from the day that they're born to the time that they die. All they're gonna know is fake, unconditional, superficial love. Me and you, us three, we don't have to worry about that.
Well, yeah, and I think about like when we were all in, we never talked like this around other witnesses.
Hell no.
It's a world of fake.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, you ever get real with anyone, weird alarms triggers,
Oh
red
my
flags
God.
get raised,
Yep.
and you know, there's not even an opportunity to throw out ideas.
You
It's
said
like
it.
I don't believe in this idea. I just think, oh, this is kind of a crazy thing I have in my mind. You put crazy things in your mind out in the world, and problems start happening. The other thing I think about, you know, because I think about, you know, someone who may be a witness, or maybe they're a Mormon, or someone in one of these high control groups, and they're listening, and we grew up in an environment where everything was sugar coated. You know, a picture was painted that was fake.
Yep.
And so I always try to have conversations and be like, it's not sugarcoated, it's not fake. Like, if you get free from a cult or a high control group, you're gonna have issues. There's gonna
Yep.
be
You're right.
problems.
Yeah.
But I like what you said, like, and I'm the same. I go to the gym.
Good. Yep.
You know, I work on my mentals. I read. I study. I explore concepts, thoughts that I was never allowed to do.
Mm.
And I try to surround myself and immerse myself. Um, like, I'm really big into like Stoicism. I'm really big into Buddhism,
Nice. So you're open minded.
Taoism.
Yeah. Good.
Um, and I'm just like, I'm open to take the parts that work for me and what I need and leave the rest.
Nice. Bro, you know
Because
what?
like, go
No, no,
ahead.
no. I'm sorry. No, no. I'll say that after you. I'm sorry.
Well, because like, I think about it this way, even like, say, Buddhism. Buddhism has 3 branches. Like, even they can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the original, you know, the Buddha had his thing, and then when he departed, it split off, and men kind of created their own versions of it. So I know that deep down, even though there's some sound principles, it's still something that was created by a man.
Yep.
And I would assume that you're probably agnostic.
Yeah. You can say that. You can say that.
Yeah.
I believe in
Yeah,
a
Trenton.
creator. Yeah. But I'm not. I mean, who knows, right? Nobody's certain.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I personally land that way. You do as well, Trent.
I do.
And I think that's, for me. It's like, if I'm atheist, I still have a belief, and I don't know. But what were
Yeah.
you gonna say?
So something else. You said, so what have I done lately to help myself feel better?
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. One.
yeah. I
One
think
other.
that's helpful for people to hear this stuff.
Of course. And one other thing. Because a lot of times us men, we like to have this macho man mentality, right? And a lot of times we struggle with things. We struggle with our inner demons. And I can't speak for
Mm.
you two, but I definitely know I had toxic behaviors in the past. Instead of
Yeah.
addressing the situation, we try to sleep it, fuck it away. Excuse my French.
Oh,
Drink, snorted. What? We try to look for all these distractions. And as of last year, 2025, I started to allow myself to feel things. As witnesses, remember, you couldn't feel nothing. Oh, if you feel sad, oh, are you praying enough, my brother? Are you going to your meetings? Is that why you're sad? It's always a some spiritual BS as to why you shouldn't be feeling the way you should be feeling. You need to pray. And it's like, now it's like, you know what? I'm gonna allow myself to feel. So if I need to cry, and that's important. I feel like us men, we need to
yeah,
be in tune with our inner emotions. Cry,
dude,
let it
that's
out.
huge.
Let it out. So I started to cry last year. Last year, I allowed myself to just feel my emotions. No master, no drugs, no sex, no alcohol. Just let myself feel the feelings.
That's
And it's
huge.
therapeutic. It's therapeutic. You know.
Yeah, I always say, like, I don't know, be in the feeling, be in the moment. You know, experience that. Let it be a part of you, but try to find a way to move forward.
Yes. Don't live in it.
You know,
Exactly.
and then also, like, you know, I feel like as men, and I'd love your take, Trent, but like, we're kind of taught, like, yeah, either bury it, or like, if you're angry, act out on it. If you're angry,
Mm,
and it's like, you can be angry and not act on that emotion.
exactly. Yep.
You know what I mean? You don't need to block it. You can be angry and not punch a hole in the wall.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
my dad was big at that. You know, my dad, the
Wall
pioneer
punching.
elder, I mean, he was a contractor, so he knew how to patch up his own walls that he punched, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's huge, man. I really appreciate you putting that out there. Like, for people listening, Dude, it's important, man. Like, we've been through a lot of crazy shit, and you said it when we first started talking. Like, people don't really understand what it means to grow up in a cult or a high control group, and it's
Nope.
not sipping the Kool-Aid. It's not this, Jonestown massacre. Yes, those exist, but it's more just how we were programmed and the environment we were raised in.
Yeah.
That really is the constant conversation about how we deprogram, how we reconstruct, and continue to try to feel and find out who we are as our authentic selves.
That's so true.
And I love watching your content because you're super real. You put your shit out there.
Thank you.
And sometimes people are doing those journeys in private, and they may not see, here's a misstep, here's a win, here's a misstep, here's a win, here's a forward 2 steps, here's a back 3 steps. And sometimes when people like yourself put yourself out there, they can align with someone and go like, okay, I still see the forward momentum of someone who's been through the shit I've been through, and I can align with that. I can understand that. Maybe I have an ally. And so I think that's pretty big for people like yourself that choose to be a little more public than even me and Trent are, because we're both pretty private,
Yeah.
But Trent, do you have any thoughts? We've Jeron and I have been going back. You've been a little solo, just soaking it up.
A little inactive over there, but brother.
Yeah. I know. I need to raise my hand to comment more. No, I'm listening, man, and getting to know you, and what you said about like getting rid of the toxic stuff and learning to feel feelings. That's hard enough for men in general these days, like without the mind trip of being a witness. But as a witness, they introduced us to so many toxic behaviors, and the brothers and the elders unintentionally through their bad examples, so I've done that work too. Like, mine started when I had my daughter. It just blew my mind having a daughter, and I was like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna have to really think about the things I teach her, and that's where some of my unraveling happened. But I definitely lost like rough edges, toxicity. Having a daughter really helped, and I've tried to work on that ever since I've been gone. Feeling feelings, communicating them in healthy ways. There's just, like I said, it's hard being a man, but coming out of something like the witnesses too adds a whole nother layer of like shit we weren't prepared for.
Hey, Jeron, what were some of the resources that you had that you turned towards to kind of start to develop, the person you are today?
What's funny? That's a good question. Honestly, resources had to look from within, because as a witness, everything was external, right? We was never taught to trust our own heart. Don't trust your heart. Your heart is treacherous. Don't rely on your own understanding, right?
Yeah.
And I had to, for the first time ever, actually, I had to rely on my own heart. I had to trust my heart. I said, Jeron, hold on. You're a good person. You know that this organization is not for you. Especially when I did my research. When you do your research, it's done. It's done. You see it for what it is for the first time, right? And then I said, hold on, Jeron. You got to really just trust your own instincts and realize this ain't it. This organization is not it. And going back to what Trent was saying, it's hard being a man. It's hard being a man, because when you said something good, Trent. You said you have to kind of like relearn for your daughter, right? Relearn to think things. You are relearning to think things for yourself too, and your daughter. It's a double whammy.
Yeah,
You have to reprogram your brain. You know how when we're in the organization, they tell the witnesses, don't trust anybody out in the world. The world is evil. The world is wicked.
Yeah.
And when you leave, it's the opposite. You look back and like, oh shit. The witnesses are then I don't want to say evil. They're not evil, but they're fake. They're phony. And obviously, you can't trust everybody in the world. But for the most part, the people out in the world, they're way more trusty, way more loving. Like the friends I have now, I can't even compare them to the friends in the organization. You can't even compare.
Yeah.
Have you had, speaking of friends, and you mentioned this before, were there moments where, because when you get out, I don't know, in my mind, there's a little bit of, and this is, words for others listening as well, is you might have a level of uncertainty where you find the wrong friends.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're pretty trusting to some extent, eyes wide open, like, oh, like, let me just kind of see how this goes. Have you had situations where you had to really learn, like, I can't trust those people, man?
Not honestly, not now. But in the past, yes. When I first left the organization, I had a
Yeah.
really bad experience. But honestly, now I'm more wiser. I'm gonna be 40 soon. Now, and remember, I was an actor for quite a while, so I have more
Yeah.
street smart than the average JW who's leaving right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's the reason I ask it is I think it's important for people coming out, because you could be coming out 20, 30, 40 years old, 50 years old, and you've never really spoken to people in the world.
Oof,
Because the only time we spoke to people in the world was try to convert them.
you're right.
And so
No.
there's a level of, like, just be careful. You even with XJWs,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
not every XJW is the same.
Yeah. Most of them are good though. I will say this: the majority of
Yep.
people I met, they were good, but some of them, I'm not judging. I'm not judging. But some ex-witnesses, the minute they leave, they feel like they need to explore. And they go hardcore. I'm talking about hardcore with the drugs, hardcore with the sex, hardcore with the alcohol. And it's like, whoa, that
It's
is
the
not
rubber
the way to
band effect.
go. Yeah. That is
Yeah.
Yeah.
not the way to go, But people got to learn out on people have to live there, they have to learn for themselves.
Well, yeah, I agree with that part. The other part is some people, and Trent and I have talked about this, some people stay angry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stay
yeah. Yeah.
they
Like
just
better. Yeah.
bitter. Yeah, that's the right word. They just can't seem to find a way to, we talked about earlier, you can be angry, but they just sit there, they stay there, they act on that anger. They want to go, like, raid kingdom halls during a meeting and record it. They want to do these things. So, like, I understand there's a level of activism that you should have. I think there's a healthy level, but I also have the mindset of, dude, like, it's kind of like Morpheus, like, their minds aren't ready to be awakened.
Yes, you said it. Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's just going to create the us versus them mentality. And it's not going to help.
No.
And it's not helping, in my opinion, and I'd love to hear if yours is different. It doesn't help to just stay in that space of bitterness and anger. Try to heal, try to find your true authentic self, explore the world, and just figure out what life means, not being labeled a witness or an ex-witness.
Exactly.
Be labeled who you want to be. I don't know. What's your take on that?
So you was talking about people staying mad, right? They stay in
Yeah.
that headspace. Um the advice I want to say, well, me personally, I thought it through. And this year, because I don't want to be known, I don't want to be labeled as an ex-witness my entire life. Some people
Mm-hmm.
keep that label. I don't want There's more to life than just being an ex-witness. And with that being said, I'm gonna always keep my channel up and running, but I think this might be my last year like making videos.
Mm.
So I do want to move on.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
always going to be part of my life. I can't change my past, right? So it's always going to be part of my life. However, it doesn't have to define my future.
Yeah.
Like 5 years from now, I don't want people to, I don't want to be known as an ex-witness. I want to be known as the person who left the witnesses and he's now thriving. He's traveling the world. He's happy. And that was just a chapter that I went through in the past. But
And unfortunately, also known as a Boston Celtics fan.
unfortunately,
No, I'm just
you said
kidding. I'm just kidding.
oh boy.
I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, so
Okay.
I
Wow.
definitely love the NBA. But I see you put that Celtics stuff out there, so I know what's up.
Die hard fan, bro.
And you're rocking the LA gear.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I'm just trying to match, but but closing out, you said to give advice to.
Just any thoughts, for people that are listening, may want to hear some words from you as you close out, and then where people can find you. And we'll definitely have you back on again when we have a little more time.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. So my advice to anyone who's a witness and struggling to leave is to follow your gut intuition, follow your instincts. If you're having doubts about this organization, you should be allowed to do your research. And deep down inside, I feel like Because when I was a witness, they kept talking about apostates. And in the back of my mind, I was saying to myself, why are they talking about ex-members? Who cares if people left? Who cares? See, we have all these red flags, and you're taught to, oh, don't trust your heart. Don't listen to anything that sounds a little off. And it's like, now I'm like, no, listen to your gut intuition. If something is off, follow that intuition. Because if you don't
Great
follow it, guess
advice.
what's gonna happen? More time is gonna pass. You're gonna keep living, and eventually you're just gonna pass away with all those doubts, all those you're gonna have unanswered questions for the rest of your life. Who wants to live like that? You
I'm
know?
so glad I followed my intuition.
Me too, bro.
So
Me
glad.
too.
Same.
So you have a YouTube channel. You're on Instagram. You're not on TikTok. What's your YouTube handle? Your channel?
Oh, so YouTube channel, it's simple. My first and last name, Jeron. First name Jeron, last name Benton, Benton. Instagram, Jeron's underscore world. Jeron's underscore world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And same on Facebook.
So,
So
okay, and Facebook as well. Okay, great.
yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I know we tried to connect for a while.
Yeah.
I really love picking your brain about stuff. I'm glad we finally could chat.
Same
It was
here.
good to
And
meet you, man.
Yeah,
yeah,
Trent,
and
you guys too, both of
it's
you.
great. Yeah, great to finally connect. And yeah, we'll definitely do this again soon. I love picking your brain and hearing more about your journey. And for
Thank
everyone
you.
that was listening, thanks so much for being with us. And we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this journey in this era. If you found today's episode valuable, please share it with someone who might need it. Check the podcast description for our socials and other information.
Please consider supporting us at Patreon at patreon.com/culturepod. If you'd like to tell your story, please contact us at cult.ture.pod@gmail.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay free.